Hey.
Hello.
We are live.
And we're together.
Yes, together again.
Amigas.
We're just
Sharing to our pages so we can all get in on today's episode.
Welcome to the Silver Cocoon on, what is today's date?
29th.
The 29th.
This year is going by way too fast.
We will be saying Happy New Year again real soon.
Yeah, 2026 sounds a little serious, but it's all right. So what are we going to do in 2030?
We need to move this. There we go.
Really? Because I'm all the way over here.
Nope.
We just need to scoot.
Okay.
No, I know what you meant, but we just need to scoot.
We need to scoot down, probably. Yeah. We're just, getting things together.
Is that a little better?
I mean, there's only so much I can do.
I know.
Okay.
We good? Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
All right.
We are good. Okay, so
welcome back to the Silver Cocoon podcast.
I am your host, Ife.
I'm Kaya.
And I'm Maya. And today we're coming in with the episode that is a mental health check-in, but make it light because that's what we focus on, light, bright colors. I was looking at my my outfit and it was it was supposed to be there was supposed to be something that I tied into that, but I fell short.
So here it is. We understand that there's a lot going on. And even if there isn't a lot going on, navigating through life does require, a certain degree of mental wellness. And that often gets challenged through just the, normal things that we go through in life and some of the challenges that are associated with our lifespan development and so on and so forth. So we want to have a discussion about that, a check-in about that, but also in a way that is anchored in positivity, that's anchored in light, that is anchored in the strengths that we all carry, that we all have. So as we said, it is a mental health check-in, love note.
Because what you focus on grows. Mm-hmm. So we acknowledge the other things, but we put a lot of our focus and energy towards the things we actually want to experience more of. Okay.
And also embracing the fact that we will have feelings and have emotions and how to navigate them in a way that is empowering, that is informative, that adds meaning and context to our lives, as opposed to just drains us or, has us crashing out or sends us into some tailspin. But how to utilize those emotions and feelings in a more powerful way.
Yes. So let's get into episode, what is this, 13 now? 14. 14. Mental health check-in, a love note.
August 14, that's a lucky number.
Yes, that's her birthday date.
Coming up.
Yes. So let's start off with, we're going to check in with each other first. Mm-hmm. And we're going to do it in a really creative and spunky way. So we're going to do a brain weather report.
Right.
So if your brain had to give a weather forecast right now, what would it say? Mental health check-in, but weather forecast edition.
You go ahead first.
Oh, I'm going first.
You're like...
So my weather forecast, I'm just going to go with today, would definitely be burst of sunshine for clarity and some winds. Some definitely winds of change. There's a lot of change. But as the evening progressed, the winds came to a calm and we have a beautiful evening of sun. With that, I'm taking the forecast the way I want to take it. But.
Yeah, I'm like,
not today.
So I was going to go overall. I was going to go from overall, like where I'm, but now we can just do today for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. I was going to do today too, because overall, that's just.
We can just do today. So today, what's your weather forecast today?
I mean, my days there'd be a lot going on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I probably couldn't put it into one forecast.
It's a lot.
So for today, for me, it would be sunny, no cloud. So a perfect day for me, weather-wise, would be like sunny, partly cloudy. Mm-hmm. So I would
Today
say
was a little too
today.
hot.
Today was a little hot. Actually, it was a little windy, but for my forecast and how I'm feeling, today would just be sun blazing because just a little on the tired side, but it's not like I prefer to be, summertime then cold, so it's still the sun. I prefer the sun anyway, so it wasn't like a terrible day, but just like energy wise, I'm just a little tired, I guess. With
Okay.
sleeping a little bit
So
more.
a little
makes
burnt
sense.
out. A little
A little burnt out. The sun, the sun makes you tired.
That heat.
That
The
heat.
Mhm.
I was thinking about answering from like an overall mental health type of thing, if my brain could say something. So kind of the same as mom's, like it's really sunny. There are no clouds. There are no clouds forecasted ever. If they come, it catches me off guard, but I'm not planning on clouds. And lots of wind though. So right now there's just a lot of wind. And I'm just like, but it's sunny, but there's so much wind, so much wind. But if we're thinking about today, the wind slowed down.
So what does that mean, so much wind?
So much wind for me just can signify a lot of movement in which I feel ungrounded in a way that makes it feel. So for me, my mental health is, we're going to touch on this later, it's pretty sharp, but the only thing I feel like that can prevent just sunny days is the wind, because things are happening and they're good things, or just life is happening. But sometimes if I don't feel like I get time to like ground and settle, it can just like continue to like be a bit of a tornado. There might be a tornado. I feel like there was a tornado watch.
Is there a little
on my forecast? There was a tornado watch, and that's why I said I need to go touch some grass. It was a tornado watch. I could feel the wind picking up, and I said I need to go ground because.
So that feels uneasy for you when the wind is whipping up. You can feel.
I can feel it, and I don't like to let it get to that ungrounded part.
Does it feel unknown, or does it just
just
feel
ungrounded?
ungrounded?
I can tell when I'm just not grounded, and I just need to. I can start feeling. I feel very mind heavy, very like less like in my body. So I had a tornado warning in my forecast.
I love that. We're going to talk about that more, just your capacity to touch in with your feelings. And that's information for you. I love that. Okay.
Yes.
Hey, Teresa.
Hey. Teresa. So yeah, I mean, if you're watching right now and you want to chime in, what's your brain forecast right now? Like if your brain and your mental health could talk, what would be your weather forecast right now? Is it partially sunny with some clouds? Hey Tanisha.
What's up, cousin?
Yeah, feel free to let us know where you're at in the weather forecast today.
Yeah, what's your weather forecast?
Rainy.
Mentally, is it a rainy day? And so here's the thing about that too. We will feel different ways about different weather patterns. Like a rainy day for me is actually really nice. I love that, where I can go into my cocoon. I can feel all of my feelings, the cleansingness of it all.
I like a rainy day too.
I love
I don't have to be outside.
And I actually like the wind too. I'm like,
the wind.
Come on and change some things up. Let's get it going. I feel that. But I do feel like if it's too much and I can be unsettled in it, then there are other things that I do, but I don't know if I want the wind to stop because I still want the change to happen.
I feel like that's the really good way to differentiate mental health from emotions, because emotions come regardless, but your mental health state can determine how you actually navigate those. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good point. Where your mental health is at any given moment will determine how well you can move through
emotions that happen.
Both ways too.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's juicy. Put a pin in that.
Put a pin in it.
Talk about that.
Where's the board?
The who?
We need a cork board.
Oh yeah, let's not. We haven't played with that feature yet. There'll be all kind of stuff going weird with this if we start playing around. But yes. Okay, cool. So what do we have? Where are we going from here? Anybody sharing there? At any point, please, if you're just thinking about it, reflecting on it, like what's your mental health weather forecast is. Tanisha says to highlight her for me.
Okay.
Please.
I don't know how to do that.
Just click it right.
My weather forecast is storming more like a hurricane. Okay.
So
today, or just
is this a looming hurricane? Is the hurricane hit already? Is it in the
Is
where's the
passing?
hurricane? We got questions.
That's
We got
good to
questions.
know.
We're trying to tap in and we're trying to
yeah.
check in. So I feel
Is it on its way? Is it right on top of everything, or has it passed?
Are you in the eye? You know, and then I'm curious as to why you chose to say hurricane as the storm, because there's a lot of different types of storms. So what about it feels water driven as opposed to like, okay. It has hit and trying to come out.
Okay. So right in the middle of it all. Take it out.
Okay. I mean, at this point, you can lean forward and press.
No.
Yeah.
You guys learn to do it too. Yeah.
Right in the middle. Yeah. Okay.
So cool. That it's hit and it's trying to make its way out. So there's a lot of emotions
recovery
in that
recovery
as well. A lot of emotions, a lot of assessing the things that have been leveled, right? And then what's left.
But even
then having a renewed sense of, okay, this is what I have. I don't know. After the storms leave, I still feel kind of this refreshed energy, even though there's some loss, right? It feels refreshing. Can you just say yes? So that's a perfect example of utilizing the storms in our lives, emotional, mental storms in our lives to are you okay?
You scared me. I just felt so. I don't know, your arm was right there. We watched a scary movie the other day. I'm not.
It was what? Sinners?
We watched Sinners.
Okay. So we may not get. We don't even want to bring up Sinners.
We're not even
going to
bring up Sinners right now. But I am just a little on edge, carrying garlic in my pocket. I'm not. Am I feel anything touching me? Where's the silver?
Okay.
Anyway,
Tanisha, thank you.
Yes, thank you for sharing your weather
forecast. Absolutely.
We are definitely going to get into those things. We've all been in hurricanes.
Yes.
And it seems like you said it's trying to come out. So you still are in the active hurricane, but seeing that it's almost over and then preparing for that assessment type of phase. So we're going to make sure we keep that.
We are praying. We're standing, holding space in the storm with you, cousin. Absolutely. And may all the things that come of what has been leveled and what is left bring more joy, peace, and inspiration into your life, and all the things that you seek. May it be so. Ashe.
Yes. And so it is.
Amen.
But yeah, we're here. We're also here for you in any way if you need to talk and things like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But it's important to check in with our people. We want to know and with ourselves, and even for you to acknowledge where you're at and know where you're at and be able to identify what it feels like is super, super self-aware, because it means that you are grounded in that experience.
Absolutely.
And being present and grounded in your emotions is not the easiest, but it's the healthiest. And we'll get into that. So let's think about what affects the forecast for y'all.
What affects our mental health forecast? What
affects right now? Like, what affects your mental health? Like, what, I guess everyone has a baseline. And then depending on your mental health, it may be a baseline that lasts 6 months, 3 months, or overall. But what can affect that right now? What affects your weather forecast? If there's some clouds, what does that mean? Or if there's some rain, what does that mean? Or what?
Too much on my plate.
Okay, what would that be?
What does that feel like?
What weather is that?
I mean, we can keep going with that if you want. I mean, we can drop the weather forecast.
We're gonna be talking clouds and rain the whole episode. I mean, you just said it, so I didn't know.
So having too much on your plate.
It's overwhelming, and I don't like feeling overwhelmed. I think also because I do be trying to if there is too much on my plate, I try to get it all done at the same time, which just makes it worse. So that definitely affects my mental health. lack of sleep. Sleep is very important for me.
Lack of sleep is so important for mental health.
Man.
Yeah, in general.
Yeah.
Man,
Not
it
just for
is.
me, but just, I definitely see the difference in the weeks that I get decent sleep and the weeks that I don't. I'll think of
Do you find yourself, if you're feeling overwhelmed, do you find yourself does that affect your interaction with others?
Oh, absolutely.
In what ways?
What's up? I was about
because it seems like mom's trying. Were you doing what I think you're doing?
Right? Are you trying?
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
No, I'm not. I'm asking questions.
Well, because
that was
sometimes Kai can have.
I can be a bit moody
it for a reason because she can be moody. So I
I
thought you're
can
trying to
be
get
a
her
bit-
to see
No,
that.
I wasn't.
I can be a bit
I would
moody.
have asked the same thing of you, but now that we're here.
Now that we're here, baby girl.
I can't be bit
So
moody,
what causes that? Because there are some times where you do seem like there's a cloud over your head.
But honestly, and this be the thing, because y'all be swearing that there's something behind that. I think it's
Go ahead.
it's just a part.
Face.
Yes, y'all did. But it's just I don't know. I just be getting in my
Getting your mood. So
yeah,
let me tell
but
you
there's
something.
not literally like there doesn't have to be a reason.
No.
He is the reason. They are the
no.
whatever is the reason.
There's
Like
something underlying. You don't just not be.
Well, sometimes I'm just I don't have it in me, or maybe it's like a social battery type of thing. Like I just don't.
That's a reason.
I can't
That's
be
a reason.
high energy, happy all the time. But it doesn't mean. But when I'm not, doesn't mean that anything is wrong.
Okay. No, I don't think that
no.
at all. When you're more quiet and withdrawn to yourself, that doesn't necessarily mean that anything is wrong. And sometimes you want that space, and when people are encroaching upon that, you feel, because I'm like that.
Yeah.
If I'm in my cocoon and people are, knocking at the door a little too much, I can be, I can have some pushback. So maybe that's what that is. You just need, when you have your alone time, your downtime, you just need that to be protected.
Yeah.
That there's that.
Extremely
and
then there is the tude sometimes.
And then there is the tude. And understanding that, I remember I had to do that, go through really assessing or figuring out what was underneath my mood, the changes in my mood. And I would sit and reflect, okay, what happened today? What happened yesterday? What conversation did I have that made this very slight shift in my mood?
You catch that for me often. So mom, especially I feel like in the past year, like it's been maybe have I been more expressive, or have you been more in tune, or what? Because she'll just be like, well, that face that I make, she'll be like, hey, you just made a face, like what's going on? And like it makes me pause and think about where I even was meant, because at the moment I'm like, I don't know. And then I'm like, actually 30 minutes ago I did listen to this song, or I did have this thought, but it was carrying on in my mind and showing on my face. And it just shows how something that could have happened a while ago can still, still affect our mood throughout the day. And we may not even know the source. Like if my mom didn't stop me 30 minutes later and be like, hey, what was that? I wouldn't have been able to identify it. If it was 7 hours later and I'm still feeling in a funk, I'm not thinking about, okay. Yeah. So then I know, all right, that's kind of a trigger for me. Maybe I need to do something after that to kind of like bring myself back. So I appreciate that. She be checking in on me.
Yeah, she checks in all the time.
She checks in all the time. Well, the perks of having a mother that's a mental health like specialist, like she actually does this. If y'all didn't know, I know she doesn't really talk about these things, but she actually is like actually there. Like she actually does this for real, like professionally, like that way. But anyway,
that way. Mentally and spiritually, but that way.
Yeah, and all
and
the
for
ways.
Myself too. But yeah, I think that the I think that for Maya, I think that since you've had a child, I think you're weighing things more heavily, and it's not as carefree as it used to be. And then there are things that I will see come across your face, and I'm like, I know it. I kind of know it. There's something I know about that space of a mother that may be thinking about a certain thing. And so I can see it. Not
mother got me stressing in a way I ain't never been stressing before. No, but mother is great.
And then going back to what Kaya was saying, like sometimes the moods I can just tell, and it's not just down. I can tell when something has happened, and you know you're a lot more elated, more joyful, more interactive. I'm like, what just happened about 10, 15 minutes ago?
What was that about?
What conversation?
And we'll ask you.
To?
We'll ask her.
Yeah.
And she's so tight-lipped. Oh, nothing. Nothing.
She's so secretive.
But she's got it all figured out. She doesn't need.
I do not. I don't have it figured out. I just am immersed in my experience. That's all.
When it comes to emotions and feelings and mental health, she's got it figured out. And we'll talk about this in another episode. But
okay,
moving forward.
Okay, so Keith says my weather conditions
are inclement
conditions. That means there's a lot going on.
Oh, okay, that's what that means.
Inclement weather. So what's happening, Keith, if you're still here with us? What is I mean, you ain't got to get into the details, but what may cause that it's not steady. What may cause that? What is it?
We've been asking you to tell us what happened.
Oh.
And I'm over here trying to like.
Corinne says mom knows. Moms know. Yeah, they do.
Know.
They do.
They do. Moms know. And I feel like, because Corinne's a Taurus too, I feel like Earth sign moms are just a little bit more able to, because I don't feel like I have that type of thumb on site here. I'd be looking at him like, what's going, like, you need to tell me, baby. I don't know.
Right.
But I feel like Earth sign moms, like Virgo moms, Capricorn moms, Taurus moms, you guys have you're grounded in yourselves enough to be able to perceive and pick up. That's just my thought. But anyways.
I think, is that what it is? You think that's what it is? Just being grounded enough to...
I think moms know to a certain extent always, but I feel like that extra level is a little bit different. You know what I'm saying?
Because I will see Sahir too.
Yeah, and I don't know
hey,
what's
that's
going
this, that's that. But
and Sierra will come around and say the same thing. Yeah. She's an Earth sign, and I'm like, okay, thanks. I need to have y'all around.
Okay,
more.
So whenever if Keith is available, he's telling us it's inclement conditions. So it's testy. It could be dangerous. We're not sure what's going to happen.
That's a very specific type of like mental state, and it's good that you also know that too.
Yeah.
So what does it feel like when y'all are in inclement conditions?
I'm like, if I get to that point,
I'm probably crashing out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Because if it gets to that point, I just don't know, and I don't like not knowing, or it's just that bad, I'm crashing out probably. But I don't crash out. I don't be crashing out. So if it gets to that point, I feel like that's what's happening to me. But then I'll figure it out afterwards. But I'm gonna have that moment where I need to just, you know?
Okay. So back to what influences. We talked about the things that can kind of take us out of our center, but what elevates your mental health? What types of things like make a super bright sunny day? What type of things, you know, and not every day has to be sunny. Some days are just needed to be mellow or whatever, but what types of things really improve your mental health or add to or can be brought to your day that's like, needed this, you know, that aren't like self-help, like that just happened.
That just happened randomly?
Yeah, just how like negative things can happen randomly and affect your mood.
So what randomly positive thing can happen?
Yeah, like not like something that you're intentionally trying to do to increase your mental health. Like just how.
So what's something that happened that can make my day?
Yes.
Yeah. What's something that can make your day, Kaya? Something that just randomly happens. I know.
Probably somebody buying me a meal.
I was about to say.
Oh my God.
Who is keep my heart moving? Somebody just offering to buy me
that's gonna like improve your mental health.
Yesterday, yesterday you were a little moody until I cooked. When she knew the food was here, I noticed the shift in her mood. I noticed
I love food. I love food. That's why, like, and then when I get my 3 meals a day, like, I'm happy. Like, I have to, like, I need food.
And so it really is. So it's tied to your emotions. That's so
food is definitely
interesting.
tied to my emotions, and that's why when food is, I'm not liking the food. It makes my stomach hurt. I'm not happy, but like all of that affects me deeply.
That's so interesting.
That's why I hate wasting my money.
goes,
Like the food, especially if I'm spending my money, baby, it needs to be good.
Whatever event, whatever the occasion. If I'm like, so how was it? The first thing she's gonna report on is the quality of the food.
And if I can get a to-go plate, baby, best believe.
Oh no, actually, I should have known. I should have known. If you're ever at a function, Kaya is missing. She's in the kitchen with 3 to-go plates.
It's a to-go plate. I mean, hey,
and she's in there serious.
I hate for food to go to waste too. I just hate for food to go to waste.
I wonder if you should do some like food critic stuff. You know?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yes. I could like. Yes. Yeah.
That's good. That's good to know, though. And now that you know, like,
that's her love
if you're ever in like
do
you know that for yourself? So like, if you're having a down day, do you know to like get some
get something good to eat?
Yeah. She just slapped my knee. For those that don't know.
Look at it up on the screen. Thanks.
Okay, Corinne says, for me, having an unexpected connection with a random person, especially because I'm shy and not the most social, feels so special and can elevate my mood.
I'm not gonna lie, that too.
I
do love that. I do love a random, unexpected, great connection with the person.
Because it's rare, and like you said, because you're shy and not the most, it takes someone to kind of pull that out. I totally agree.
I agree.
Those stick with you for a while.
They do. Especially because people just aren't that nice nowadays. So
or just not sociable, or
it's not sociable.
But also not
that people.
But people also just aren't that kind.
Okay, it just is how you view it. I think I come in
or not sociable. I do too. But yeah.
But I like that. I like that a lot because same. Yeah,
I know. I made a conscious effort because I like it so much that I also try to be that
for other people. But I have such social anxiety.
Yeah,
I'm like,
because I know I could, but I can't.
Well, you know, one way to get around that is complimenting.
No, but I tried. That's where I try to start. I'm like, oh my gosh, I like that. But then it's like I get anxiety. Now, this happens like maybe 4 times a week, and 2 times I'll actually say it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this. And they're like, oh, thank you. And like one time I walked up, this lady was like looking super fly at an event. And I said, girl, you look good. But the compliment just flew out of my mouth. And she's like, you too, girl, looking all natural. I say, yes, ma'am. Like, you know, like it was like that. But just even deeper connections and things like that. Those are really nice because like it's just good to know there's good people out there and outside of your own little social circle. And I feel like that's what we all need is connection. We're humans. We're humans. We need connection. So that's actually amazing, Corinne. Like that's a great point. I feel like that has a huge effect on mental health, being in community. Like,
oh my gosh, having community.
If y'all were around me every day,
oh yeah.
What? I would be great all the time. Even like I was just about to say,
y'all every day. No, I love you guys.
Whoa.
I love y'all down.
It's doses.
It's doses.
It's doses.
And Maya's you're just, honey,
she's a little
loud.
Your energy is
which is I love that about you so much.
I'm chill.
Girl, please. You have your moments, but like overall, no, ma'am. You're not chill. Okay. We're gonna stop. We're gonna stop right there.
So that's a little off topic.
That's a little off topic. And we don't want me to crash out.
Wait, hold on. Now, she'll do a nice read, but she don't like to get read.
Not here. We'll talk about that.
No,
literally, not publicly.
Here.
I know. Okay, well, that's great to know. But
no, but I said I love that. Like I love that about you, and I love the person that you are. I love the way that you are.
Yeah.
For you.
You can't just have it all the time around
you. Yeah.
And I think that
but y'all probably I feel like vice versa, because then
no, you don't. You're just be chilling.
I'm just chilling. I just be chilling.
I think it's easier. Yeah, you just be chilling. But I didn't mean it like that. No. In general, for me though, that I think that if I see here's the difference. When I need to pull back, Kaya's gonna respect that. Maya, you are not.
What are we doing? It's been 5 minutes. Like, we need to get off of my back. But I understand that. Cool. So moving on.
Not gonna probably not gonna argue, but let's move on.
Right.
I really do try, but I think a part of that is a lot of my mental health does have to do with connection.
It has to do with connection. It does.
Connecting and communicating and talking.
And you just love us so much. So it's just you just want to be in our skin 24/7 around.
Yes. And that's why me and Tahir get along so good. Because we just want to be in each other's skin all day. And we both are that's both of our love language.
So I think that's important to bring up though now, like in terms of social, in terms of community, how much of it do you need? You know? And spreading that out amongst your people. And if you realize you're that type of person and you don't feel like you have access to community, you know, send us a little message so we can plug you in to some places and spaces, because everyone needs that. Everybody does need that. Yeah.
Everyone needs community for sure. Yeah. I guess that for my mental health, it wouldn't really be people for real. I think it's really good most of the time though. Like you guys said, I'm pretty high.
And I think that a part of that is because you do engage in community.
I engage. You do. No, you literally do. Like on a daily basis, you're out there doing things.
Yeah, I am. I just have to. I don't know, because even on my days where I'm chilling out, I'm talking to nobody, I'm still happy.
Too. Yeah.
I don't know what could make my day. Beyonce.
We're not talking about last night.
Popcorn
makes my day when people really like when I come to someone's house and they're like, hey, like I got popcorn for you, or
marshmallows.
I keep water outside of the fridge for you. You're not the only person that does that.
Yeah, I know you.
So it's really sweet. Like just being considered makes my day.
Yeah. What about you?
Random things
that improve your mental health.
That improve my mental health. The reason why I was like, I don't know how to answer this, because I'm usually so proactive, like in staying in nature.
Nature also.
So when I said earlier that you had it all figured out, you just said what I said.
I don't really know how.
I don't really know because I'm usually preventative. So nothing really comes.
So you know.
But no, just to touch on that, nature is a big mental health for me. I like going to the beach. That's huge for my mental health. The beach is huge for my mental health.
No, seriously.
And trees, huge for my mental health.
Yes.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like going into nature, and I'm doing that regularly. If it's not cold, I'm outside. First of all, if it's not cold, my office is outside. Like I will prop up if there's a porch, wherever I'm at, that's where I clock in at. And then hold on. And then if I'm in nature about four days out the week, if I can be. So I don't know. Outside of that, I just like a lot of different things. Surprises can be like a beautiful bird passing by, and that will just make my day. I mean, it's really simple. Just soft, beautiful expressions of life. I know that sounds really corny, but it's true.
That's true for you. I can see that. It just also made me think about another thing that makes my day, but it's tied to connection with just my guides and spirit. When I get synchronicities, that's connection.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh my gosh, connection. Like it makes my day. I'm like, oh my goodness, there's like some type of communication reciprocal. I'm not alone. Like
you can feel.
I feel the support. I love the support.
Confirmation of
just the support. Just the hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
Like just the presence. That's it. It's just the presence. Because it doesn't need to be validation anymore, thank God.
Yeah.
But just presence and people being with me. Are we gonna?
I would just say one more thing for me. Yeah. Just be connection with kids specifically. Definitely. And if you know me, you know that. Like the connection that I have with kids can boost my mental
immediately. Yeah.
I love my kids bad.
Yeah. And they're so pure and we can learn so much from them.
Yeah.
They just be bopping around.
Just so
well, until they start talking. And then sometimes like
okay, what do we have? Corinne is saying.
I think it ties a lot to love language. Connection is huge for me, and I don't often need space the way other people do, but I try to respect other people needing theirs, right? I love a high-strung energy. It keeps me energized.
Wonderful.
And that's why we're like this.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes. But I guess you're right. Like it ties into love language, connections, and needing space and things like that.
What kind of connections that you need? What kind of connections? I love an adventurous person.
You do, because
I
you
love an
are
adventurous
always
person.
trying to. Both of y'all, I feel like.
Yeah, we're
honestly.
pretty
Yeah.
adventurous.
Both of
Yeah.
y'all.
Yeah. I feel like our relationship teaches us, if we actually dissect it a little bit more, it can teach us a lot about what we actually, things
What's
that
good for our mental health.
what's good for our mental health and what's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool to know. We kind of wanted to get into some of the stigmas around mental health, though.
Mm-hmm.
And we have, what are you?
A clinical mental health counselor?
Yes.
Oh. I was like, which part? No, go ahead.
We have a clinical mental health counselor here today. And so we're just going to talk about, we've talked about where we're at now. We've talked about the things that can affect that, tip the scale in either direction. And I feel like we have a pretty steady mental health now because we're raised by someone that understands the value of seeking help for mental health in whatever way that you do.
Right.
In whatever way, or
Right.
knowing that something has to be done. You can't just let it
chill.
sit and chill, because that's not
Healthy.
conducive.
Mm-hmm.
Well, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, no. I'm just thinking about that because the reason why I ended up going into the mental health profession was because of my interaction with people in spirituality and realizing that there were some things that needed to be addressed from a mental health perspective.
Mm.
And they did not fall under, and sometimes people will be in disguise with some of the mental health issues within a spiritual context. And I'm like, oh, this isn't a spiritual thing. This is a mental thing, and it needs to be dealt with on this side. Yeah. Sometimes there's overlap, and that's true, but they're not one and the same.
So
in a lot of cases, those mental health issues can hide in a lot of spiritual spaces. So I was like, let me go ahead and get this piece of paper so that I can address this,
not piece of paper,
both sides. Yeah.
Because she already has it figured out. She just needs the paper.
Make a T-chart.
But I was just gonna say, in a nutshell, like, some things you can pray away, and some things you need to see a mental health specialist. Is that what you're saying? In a simple terms, or no?
Oh, I would not say pray away.
Well, I'm saying some problems. No, I'm saying, like you're saying, some people have problems that can't be dealt with in spirituality.
Well, no,
and some
I'm talking about mental and emotional things can be dealt with through a proper framework in spirituality.
Okay.
There are times when there's some disorders that need an overlap of the two. Mm-hmm. And so it's best to have both approaches.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Corinne says, knowing now what you do makes so much sense. I know why tuning in always feels like a much needed therapy session now.
Aww.
Yeah, and she be doing that.
That was sweet.
Yeah, that was sweet.
Thank you.
So with
stigmas. So we were talking about stigmas.
I kind of wanted to just, when we were talking about this, the first thing that came into my head about stigmas is, like I said, we were raised, and everybody's raised differently. So my perspective, some people may know everybody in their life goes to therapy. Some people may not know a single person. So there's perspective.
Can I just interject one real quick, because I wanted to make a point about what we just talked about.
Yeah.
I said that there are some issues that need to be addressed, have an overlap of spiritual and mental, need to be addressed on the mental health side. There are also some issues that seem like they're issues that people will go to a mental health therapist for, and it's not a mental disorder. It is actually something that is more about that individual's spiritual capacity to feel and see, and so
or
on
energetic
and so
bodies too.
Energetic.
So I'm a somatic therapist as
Absolutely.
well. So I do work with. I know. You look at that. I mean,
I'm a lucky gal.
Well, if you use the tools.
No, she's right where she needs to be.
But yeah, so that's basically because you're right. Some of it is talk therapy. For me, it's talk therapy because I do know the somatic therapies to do for myself.
Right.
So if I feel something come up in my body, I know how to breathe through it or move it out or transmute it, whatever.
Absolutely.
But my brain is my worst enemy. That's why I need therapy. Okay. And there's other things, you know what I'm saying? But so that's why, but also before I was even in somatic therapy, I was going through some things and I was like, let me get a therapist. And I remember talking to a family member and I was like, yeah, I have therapy after this, and they were like, oh, you have therapy. And I was like, yeah. They were like, oh, okay, well, I hope everything's all right. Well, you go to therapy, you crazy lady. Like, basically it was like, there must be something really wrong with you, like, to be going to therapy. And I was like, no, like, I really it's just a tool. Like, it's not like, I probably will always be in therapy. It is great when things get really bad, but if you're consistently in therapy, they probably won't get really bad again because you're checking in with someone that can kind of see patterns and help you identify and stay on top of things. Anyways, I say all that to say that I did face a lot of stigma, or just rejection and questioning, or just people thinking of it differently when I do mention that I'm in therapy. And I can still people like pause sometimes, like, I'm like, oh yeah, I just got out of therapy. Oh, like, oh,
and that's so weird.
It's so strange to me.
Strange. I'm like, everybody needs therapy, and you don't have to be going through hell to be in therapy. It don't even gotta be that bad.
And if it is, it's fine.
And if it is, it is.
Right.
Yeah, but
what people don't understand is that you're actually participating in interactions that are more therapy based on a regular basis.
And let me say this. Sorry. I'm so sorry.
On a regular basis.
I'm sorry.
Which can be conversations with your friends, except they might not have a therapeutic lens. There can be conversations with a spiritual, leader or head or something that you talk through some things with. It's like that, except that a mental health therapist has some training around some particular processes that may, work for what you are, addressing or need to address.
You know what I just realized? They don't teach us a lot about, no, this is crazy. I just thought about this. They don't teach us a lot about mental health in school, right?
Nope.
Unless you go to study psychology or whatever. So imagine the amount of people that didn't learn about it in school, but are going through things mentally. Their families aren't talking about it. They're only getting their information from online about what these things are. And that's why we have people calling people narcissists and calling people out. Like, these words are getting thrown around because people that are on social media are looking to get clicks and engagement. So they're going to try to, anyways, that just is a thought that just came into my mind.
Yeah, the dog started barking when you said narcissist. No. Not you.
I know. I hope that's not
okay.
what you were going at.
So you were talking about stigma though.
Yeah, I was talking about stigma. And so basically with the stigmas in that, it can just be yeah, what? Someone just knocked on the door. There was a dog, someone knocked on the door. We don't know what's going on. But where even was I, you guys? This is so much. Yeah, that's not enough. I know that's what we were talking.
We've been talking about that. Specifically,
you're talking about people.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I feel like because there's such a stigma about it, we don't talk about it enough. And so we don't talk about it enough, and we don't engage about it enough, and we don't really know the words for the things that we may be feeling and going through to even know that we need resources or what resources there are and things in that area. So essentially, Kaya, I feel like, what do you think about that?
Sorry, I kind of wasn't really listening.
Just because you guys, this is, we have to have a hot.
We're having a hot mic moment because
we have to have a hot. What is going on, everybody?
Well, you
got distracted because
she got distracted because somebody was at the door.
So she wasn't listening.
She wasn't listening.
Go ahead, recap real quick so I can.
Sorry.
We can jump in. Sorry about that.
Just real quick.
We had a few things going. Dog started barking. Someone came to the door. Just real random things in the moment, talking about stigmas around mental health. So what is that?
What's the resistance to this conversation? Oh my goodness! Because if we're not mentally well, then we can't open our eyes and see the the things that are going on around us. And if the stronger we are, the more power we have.
Is there some resistance to that? I think people will feel like like maybe having a mental health issue is or seeking some type of therapy, mental health issue or not, then they're judged by that, or you feel like something is really wrong.
Well, let me say this. Everyone has something.
Exactly.
Be the one that's doing something about it.
Be
the one that's
Is
doing
that what
something
it is?
about
Is
it.
that what it is? Is it the feeling like if I actually go get some help around this, is that the part that people feel shame around?
I think it is.
I feel like there's
help?
And that can
we can get into the stigmas for I feel like there may be that, but there also might be you have to actually want to change your circumstances.
But people will think about changing circumstances in many different ways, and seeking a therapist, a mental health therapist, may not.
Yeah, so do you think it's because they don't even know that it's a mental health issue?
I don't think we have to even see it as a mental health issue,
mm-hmm.
Just to be able to, because part of the problem can be that people are not talking to anyone about what they're going through, and have you had those conversations where you get on the phone with somebody and you've been ruminating about something and you just start sharing, and immediately as you start talking about it, you get so much clarity, and you're like, all I need to do was just talk about this thing. So that in and of itself can be very, very useful. If we're looking at the reasons why it's a stigma, and the privacy piece is another issue.
That's what I was gonna say too. Because I guess I could say kind of overall, I'm a private person, so I already feel like, okay, this is somebody that I just don't know at all, unless you're not
supposed to be talking about your business.
Tell other people your business. That's what I hear.
Yeah,
like you're not supposed to tell a stranger your business.
I mean, and it's not even that, but it's just, I think it's also just like a comfortability thing too, because it's also, I kind of have a little bit of social anxiety. So now it's like, okay, now I got to get deep. I got to talk about stuff that's, I got to, dig down with somebody that I don't even know. Like, I feel like that's something that's just going to be uncomfortable.
It could be uncomfortable
to do.
I can see that. I can see how that can be a deterrent.
Yeah. And then how affect, okay, so do you guys feel like therapy, person to person with or on the phone, however, talking therapy, whatever, is always effective though?
Well, I have two thoughts on this. One, on its own, no. We have to think about resources. If that's all you have access to, then yes, do that. But I feel like it's a combination of a lot of different types of therapy that helped me. So not just talk therapy. And two, one thing that can be a deterrent is finding the right therapist. As well. Yeah. I've had terrible therapists, and that would be enough to turn someone away, especially if it's your first time and you get a terrible one, and then you're just like, oh, I can't. But it's the same way with friends. It's the same way with any relationship. You have to find someone. Exactly. Corinne says finding the right therapist was huge for me. A little just backstory and quick tad bit on that. When I was pregnant, I got a therapist. It was like, I want to get my mental health together. And I got this lady, and for a while, I just didn't really feel like she was getting me, but I was like, we'll just give this a few sessions. And then at one session, she said, honestly, after a couple of months, she said, honestly, I don't know what to do with you. It just seems like you're too detached for me, and I just don't know what to do. And I was like, well, that's kind of why I'm here. Right.
That's your point.
And then, so, after a couple more sessions, because she was recommending books, and I was like, hey, this book isn't resonating. This isn't my experience, but I think this is what you think my experience is. So let's talk about it, whatever. So anyways, fast forward, I sent an email to break up with her, and she never responded to that email. Never. So that would have been enough to burn me in that way. But anyway, since I found a therapist and we've been locked in for over a year now, I just saw her today. We're like this. So finding a good therapist really is important, and it can take time. And I would not let that deter you, though. It's a journey.
Yeah, you gotta vet your people. Vet your people. I've had some people that work with me that say they watched me for a year, in a certain context before they decided to, utilize my services. They just kind of watched how I handled life. How vet your people, Take as much time as you want. Don't feel bad about any of it. Watch them and watch them closely. Please watch them closely. Yes, please watch them closely, because here's the truth. There are a lot of folks that go into the mental health profession who are in need of a lot of help. And that's the truth about that. There are a lot of people who go into the helping professions, period, into spiritual, professions and things like that, who need a lot of help themselves. So vet your folks, take your time, vet your folks. Hey,
Carlisha, we love you.
Hey, Carlisha.
So before we leave this stigma conversation, I know this is a woman podcast, all female podcast, but we do want to just shed some light on our men really quickly, because we notice we've had relationships with men. We have brothers, we have uncles, and I've noticed personally, and sure, I'm talking about us specifically.
Everybody has men in their life.
I was talking about
whatever
us
relationship
That's why
it is.
I was specifically talking about us, but yes, other people do have fathers. And so with that being said, she has one, but
the mic is hot.
I just left it out, but since we're bringing it up. So anyways, and I guess for him too. Yeah. So basically we have these relationships that we see, and we've noticed that, especially in my one-on-one like romantic relationships, that getting men to talk about mental health is difficult.
It is, yeah.
And seeing and raising my son and seeing the parallel to how the men in my life or his life react to him at this age when he cries or when he has a feeling, it's like, okay, it's embedded almost in men to kind of like put their feelings aside and be a man. And so I feel like I don't know, I'm not a man, I can't speak on that experience, but I can say that by the time you're older, it can be this like really big, lock on your feelings, and you don't even know how to access them. And maybe out here wreaking havoc.
And it is
well. Let's talk about first why it is that way.
It is seen in society.
Yeah, society
as being weak.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You're not as strong, or you're just unable.
There is no place for a man to. It's getting better now.
It's getting better.
There's a lot of conversation, but typically men expressing how they feel. What does that have anything to do with your responsibilities and what you need to be doing and how you need to? That is the way society has approached manhood for incredibly too long. I want to also say that we tend to have an ideal around how a man needs to approach their mental health. And so I want to say that even though we are thinking talk therapy this way or doing it that way because it works for us, may not work for men the same way.
Right.
And I don't know what that way is. I can't say because I'm not a man, but I do know that there are organizations and things like that. We'll post some stuff too for the men, that men-centered spaces are being developed and created for men to be able to have the conversations the way they need to have those conversations. And that's important. We don't know. I'm not gonna claim to know. I would be overstepping to say this is the way you need to do that, because that's just not even realistic. It's not even respectful. It's not considerate. Anyway, but there are ways to do that.
There are. We have Carlisha, who left a comment and said men are afraid to have those uncomfortable conversations. I'm dealing with a situation like that right now. Like, oh my God. But we don't I can't even speak too much on it because I don't understand it.
Exactly.
But I just know, and I know that it seems like they feel way more than we do though.
Oh my God.
They're so much more sensitive.
Very deeply.
And I don't know, like I said, we can't speak on it too much as far as what their internally looks like, but we do know that, like you said, there are a lot of resources that are starting to show up for them,
Mm-hmm.
but not as nearly as much as there are for women. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's so many retreats for us to go and be in community, and so many pop-ups for us to do things in the park and paint and sips. And there's
because
so many.
we've always been, conditioned and nurtured as the communicators.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
That would be natural for those resources to be available for us and not for men. In general.
I do have, my yoga mentor, and he stepped up and started being a space and would hold space for men to talk about their feelings and emotions. And if he's still doing that, I'll link him in here. But if there are any men watching this and have the thought to do that, absolutely, it's needed. Like, there are more men that need to be you have a friend that talks about mental health on Facebook, and he's a man, and he has really good tidbits to,
Hazira?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, yes, absolutely. And here's the thing, like, this is not just coming from a critical space.
Yeah.
But just seeing the men in my life and in my experience that have so much to offer, so much brilliance, and do offer like a heck of a lot to their communities and to the people in their lives. And then there's this space where they even feel trapped, where they feel alone, where they feel isolated around how to navigate feelings, and then duped and tricked by the propaganda that women are the only emotional creatures, which is not true at all. Men feel very deeply. The only emotions that are okay for them to express, sometimes those are limited. And just because they're not expressing them doesn't mean that they're not feeling them. And the ones that they do feel and express quite often is anger, but that's usually because a lot of other stuff is suppressed. So,
we just, like you said, we're not coming from a critical point at all. Right. This is actually coming from a place of love, because we recognize this. And while we don't have the experience, we know that we would love to see, just some loosening,
Yeah.
We love to just start that conversation, plant that seed out there just by us speaking about it.
And then I think I wasn't considering this before, but our interaction, men and women, has a lot to impacts our mental health quite a bit. Think about it.
It does.
Whether it's relationships, whether it's in your careers or what have you, we impact each other's mental health a lot. So we can all get in on that and having a healthy. What's that?
Having a healthy type of thing. I'm here for it. I'm always the one. I'm a therapist and in relationships. I ask the questions, I get deep, and I get pretty deep, but for some reason there's still
and so let's talk about that though. I used to play that role and then realize it wasn't my labor to do so, because then it immediately creates some type of hierarchy in the relationship around someone knowing a thing and someone being the prober for a thing and someone being the one that is kind of constantly trying to get their mate to a space of wellness in that way. And then the man may begin to resent that, and I don't want to be doing all that. I'm not doing all that labor. So if there's a problem, our interaction is not for you to be my therapist or for me to be your therapist. For you to go get your help the way you need to, us to come together to discuss some things. And then, but I don't feel like that it's the woman's job, because at some point there's going to be some resentment one way or another.
Yeah, it's definitely not our job. No, definitely not.
Right. But taking up that role as the therapist in the relationship is problematic.
For me, it comes out of curiosity. I genuinely want to know what the hell's going on.
And being
curious, I genuinely want to know what the hell's going on.
Being curious is wonderful. You do want to ask, but being the therapist.
Oh no, I'm not. I don't. So that's what I was gonna say when you first started. Is I don't approach it from, well, let me help you. I just ask a question, then we get into another layer, then I ask another question, it opens up.
I know you, so
but then also you're not coming from a therapist standpoint, but that's just what you do.
It's what's going to happen. It's what's going to happen.
Because you just said you ask a question, and you open a layer, then you ask another question,
and you open, and that is.
And guess what? They still tell me to this day that I help them mentally.
Right.
Exactly. But like you said, literally,
woman.
Literally.
And that's all right. That's all right. That's all right, because so far,
because
you know,
it does,
yeah, you're
it
right.
does
Yeah.
create a different dynamic in the
That's true.
relationship. And I did have someone tell me once, like, I'm consuming a lot of our relationship with these types of, with my issues with these types of conversations, and that's not fair to you. I need to go get my therapist and work on my stuff. And the next time we talk, it ain't gonna be about this. It ain't gonna be about this mess.
Come
and
healed.
I'm like, ooh, I like that. I
healed.
like the sound of that.
Yes.
So yeah, you know.
And
I
that's
like
why
that.
it
That's
is
even like
important.
that's self-awareness to even say that, because some
It
men will just
is.
are energy vampires and
Yes.
will just give them some garlic.
Oh my goodness.
And some people don't know that they're being energy vampires.
They don't know. No, they don't know. I'm just being funny because of sinners. That's
But
all.
some people do.
Yeah.
And they're not taking accountability of the fact that, you know, they got some stuff they need to deal with, and it doesn't have anything to
and
do
that's
with
not
you.
just for men.
And
That's
they,
all.
I'm saying, yeah, everybody.
Yes,
and
everybody.
It projects, and they just project other issues onto you, and you're
Absolutely.
this, and it's a lot. It's toxic. That's why it's important to just get the help for yourself.
Yeah.
And yes, you can get the help for yourself, and your partner should be supportive of that. But like you said, it's not your partner's job.
Yeah.
It's not your partner's
job. Yeah.
Ty says this is good. Thank you for joining us, sis.
Thank you for joining us. Yes.
You know, one thing in my friendships, one way that I defined my trust in my friendships, relationships, and friendships mainly, but I see how this would also apply to my relationships, is that I'm not expecting my friend to always do the right thing. I'm not expecting them to not have any faults, right? But I will watch a friend over time, and I know that they're accountable enough for their own stuff that they're going to figure out what is amiss or what needs adjustment, and I can trust that. So I don't have to watch. I don't have to look over my shoulder. I don't have to wonder what's going on, because they got them. And that builds trust. So transferring that, accountability into a relationship. I want that in my relationship as well. I don't have to be on you all the time about the things you need to change, or thinking I'm on you about my perception about the things you need to change, and what you need to do, and so on and so forth. Instead, there's a trust, because I know he got it. Like, he's on his own. He's on top of his own stuff. So I don't have to consume myself with my stuff and his stuff mentally, in that way, taking up so much space.
So let me ask what you think, because I'm raising a son, and I want to know how I can I'm not raising him alone. He does have his father, but I do want to know how I can encourage him to take accountability for his mental health, and to also be in touch with his emotions in whatever way that means for men, and just be emotionally aware. What do you think?
Question. So this is where you said what you were doing for your man, you do for your son.
Where I need to do it for myself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
That's exactly.
Yeah. We're not mothering.
Parent.
Yeah. As a parent,
mother. See the difference? Yeah.
I'm about to be mothering that. Okay.
So exactly what you were doing in relationships is what you do for your son. You ask the questions, so that he can start to ask the questions for himself. So you're like, hey, how did you feel? What did you think? Reflect on this. And I've seen like examples where men are parenting their sons, and they do that too. So, son, I'm gonna let you sit and think about that for a minute.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. In that way. So you're asking the questions.
I think even just across the board in parenthood, it made me think about it. Just, making sure that we're like, even I think in all of our friendships, in all of our relationships, not being vulnerable helps other people with their own, like, I would never talk about mental health with my friends. And then one day I was like, let me start talking. And now we have those deep conversations about our mental health. Someone has to take that step and be vulnerable. And then we're letting, not to like help, like be therapists for each other, but to hold space and just be aware of these things and bounce off. The really close friend group that I have with my mentees, we started off super vulnerable.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
we created that safe space to where our mental health is important. We know that, whatever, that's a whole nother conversation. But I just feel like vulnerability is key to that too. Yeah. So yeah.
But I also know, I've been seeing this a lot. Just like going back to men, I see that a lot of men, specifically in relationships, or not just relationships with like women, but just in relationships in general, men say now that they're hesitant, like they've tried to be vulnerable in the past with a person, and the reaction that they got from that vulnerability is what makes them no longer want to be vulnerable, which is sad, but understandable, because you know, you try to open up, you try to you think you're in a safe space, and you're like, okay, boom, I'm doing it, and then, you know, like you said, it's held against you, or it's seeing, or even the female may be like, why you tell, like, you know, now she's looking at you like,
are you crying?
You're weak. Are you crying? Like, and then so they're like, dang, you know, but that's all.
Yeah.
Society.
There's two things I want to say about that, in which this also is more of a reason why men need to seek either the professional go the professional route, or seek out groups of men who are addressing mental health, so that they can begin that journey in a space, in a context, with some understanding, some knowledge about how to navigate that. The other thing I want to say is that just because when someone is asking you to be to work on something, or to be present, to be expressive, sometimes men will feel like, well, this is my experience, right? That as long as they are telling you, which means they could be yelling, they could be, you know, extremely aggressive in the situation, that is, I'm doing what you asked me to do. Like, I'm showing up, I'm saying these things, I'm expressing these things, and it could be in a very unhealthy manner, right? Or a very explosive way. And then if your partner is like, well, hey, hold up now, you're gonna have to, this is not how you need to be, you know, addressing me. And then the men will say, well, this is what you wanted, you've been asking me to share, you've been asking me to blah blah blah, but not in an abusive manner. So we've got to understand the context too sometimes matters. How a person is showing up and expressing themselves could elicit a positive response or a defensive response, you know.
So, quick question: do you guys feel like couples therapy is necessary before you even like get married? Okay,
yes,
cool.
Yes.
Okay.
I think, man, listen, couples therapy, absolutely, and it doesn't even have to be with a therapist. It could be with somebody in, you know, your spiritual organization, some neutral third party, to have some conversations.
We have Ty, a happily married woman, checking in. That's
saying
a
definitely 100.
Yes. And you want to do these things even just for your own, like we're about to get into that, because we're more on the preventative side of mental health. Of mental health. And you want to do that in relationships and with yourself, like get ahead of it before it gets bad. Like I could have easily with my therapist been like, oh, I'm in a good place now, like we can go. But I'm like, no, because then I'm gonna be back in 6 months because you know, like this preventative, and it's like, so it's not all about therapy. We're about to get into that in a minute, but we do want to talk about how Ty says, ask the hard questions. And that, you know, that show, Love is Blind, the reason why they fall in love so fast is because they actually talk about the hard things and they actually have deep conversations. Now that's a whole other story. Like, we know it goes off a little bit, but I do think that they had to, there we go. We have another happily married woman chiming in, y'all. Y'all better listen.
I had to log into Facebook just to comment in all caps. Couples counseling is a must before marriage.
Yes, indeed. So now on every day, are you open to counseling?
Right.
Right. Before we even.
Are you open to counseling?
That should be one of those questions that you ask.
We need a list. Y'all write me a list. Ty and Adia, please write me a list of questions.
The hard questions.
Right.
What are the questions?
Send me a list.
Absolutely.
And I would just
roll up. And I think that, you know, whomever is, both parties are going to benefit from the counseling, though.
And if someone's shying away, why?
Well,
sometimes they just want to manipulate you.
No, Yeah, sometimes they want to
Okay.
be manipulative, and sometimes they're also, a little afraid.
That's true, and that's
we
right.
gotta get over that.
We hold space for that too.
Yeah, it should be your prerequisite. Maya, this is not looking like a safe space for the men.
No,
it's not.
No.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it is.
Okay, we can tie these two together.
Okay, so yeah, we are going to tie these two together because whether we talk about it or not, we deal with mental health issues or just mental health things in that arena, period. And so when we don't have the tools to healthily navigate through those, we're going to find a way.
Real quick.
Oh, we already know the answer to that first question. Hold on really quick before we move on.
Hold on. We asked for questions and Ty said, got you. Here's a couple. What she said.
1, who is going to handle the money? 2, do you want kids?
And she's going to DM the rest. Thank you. Let's get the important things straight out the gate. Yes. Literally. Thank you. And I will be, my DMs are open. Thank you. Oh, we got another.
These are the areas that you need to cover.
Okay. Adia says financial, spiritual, child rearing, political stances, bills, family and friend boundaries around your marriage are just a few things to cover. That's important. That's so big.
That
the boundaries part,
huge, because people may view that differently.
They would.
I would have never thought about that because that's a huge, and it's like, oh, Kaya's taking a picture.
Alright.
She said, alright.
Got that.
Save it to your notes.
Lock screen.
in the bar. Hold on. 1 second.
Hilarious. Okay, so
yeah, we were just talking.
You guys.
Yes,
thank you. And Adia.
Noted, and you're invited to the wedding. When we don't have the proper tools, we do still navigate, and it may not be in the most healthy way. And this is where we come to the topic of self-medicating. Okay, we're just a little unhinged today because we're clearly a little unhinged today.
We really didn't need to sing that part, right? Of all parts
to sing, maybe not that one. Right. So
leave it up there.
Okay, so typically, Hot Mic, our mom does this, and she's been asking us to help out more, and now we're just pressing buttons. But anyway, so a serious topic is self-medicating, and
so we're just talking about our self-medicate,
just what we see. I know in general,
drugs, alcohol.
Well, those are the things.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on, y'all.
Okay, let's ground ourselves. No, but seriously, so it just because we did say that those were the ones, but those are really big ones. So
I personally don't use those things to self-medicate. But
you don't think you've ever smoked?
No. Whoa. First of all, okay, I no longer smoke or drink, but I used to smoke.
Come at her. Okay.
And you're right. I probably
do you think you were self-medicating?
No, because I ain't gonna lie to y'all. If I could smoke, I probably would puff me up one every now and again. But it was, I guess, back then. But back then, it definitely was a lot more stress.
Okay,
so you have to give some context.
I caught COVID, and I had some. What do they call them? Long-term side effects, symptoms, or whatever. And when I tried to smoke again, it just messed me up real bad. And I tried to do it again 3 months later, had an episode. And now honestly, I think it's anxiety, which is just steering me away from even trying it again, because I just be too in my head.
Yeah. So but in your situation, it wasn't that serious, but there are typically these big emotions that we don't know how to deal with, but we can go up the street and go to the store and get something. And that, on one hand, now I think about it, is pretty proactive to see a problem and want to fix it. Even if you don't know that's what you're doing, but there are healthier ways to go about it. And I did at some point, I feel like self-medicate with like drinking, but I was in college, so was it really so like, you know, it was just
everybody was drinking,
everyone was doing
everybody
that.
was smoking.
So
I think that's everybody
was
self-medicating
that way because college is stressful.
Yeah, and so it just there were no like yoga or meditation classes in college. So we say that to say that we see this a lot in our communities, and I just wanted to touch on like I know people who live in communities where there are like high like homicide rates and things like this, and they're losing family members, or people just that do experience heavy things like grief and there just aren't, I wouldn't even say resources, but there's not communication about these types of things and how to deal with them. And my heart just, you know, is like, like that's a lot to move forward with. And we're still resilient people, but we're moving forward with some pretty heavy things. So we just kind of wanted to talk about the things that we've navigated.
And just disclaimer, we don't want to make it seem like we're talking down on people that use those things to self-medicate.
Yeah.
You deal with things how you deal with things.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like you said, sometimes we don't know that that's what we're doing.
Right.
And because our society pushes self-medicating as a normal way to enjoy life.
Right.
And really.
Yeah, like we have Future who's rapping about
well, that's a little different. How he knows he's peddling drugs to the community. Encouraging. Hold on. But what we want to
I'm not saying
so there's that part of it and self-medicating is across all of our all
social circles.
Oh yeah.
All of them, whether it be, alcohol, there's people who are like heavy on, different types of, illicit drugs or what have you, that are self-medicating, that are looking for ways to avoid addressing a thing. And a lot of times it's because they don't have the means to address the thing. Even if they sit there and think about it, but you become overwhelmed about what you have to do in order to address the thing. And you're like, well, shoot, this beer over here, it costs whatever. So in the meantime, I just want to feel good.
And sometimes it's even
in the meal the pleasure. I just want to feel good because there's a lot of things in life that I don't feel good about.
And a lot of times we don't even have
that sensation.
The way life is set up, we don't even have, if the typical person that's working 9 to 5 and has children, where do they even have time to take a step and go find something else? You have a couple seconds to go grab this really quick. And so that's a thing. But I was just thinking, I thought about it. There was a point where I was socially anxious, but I knew that alcohol wouldn't make me. So I feel like that was self-medicating in a way. Like, I probably needed, what would that have been? Anti-anxiety. I don't know. Something, but that was my self-medication in that way. Or just for me, I just needed more confidence.
Right.
Because that's all I have now. But so we did have a comment from Corinne that says, I'm navigating this right now. I quit smoking on New Year's Eve and I've done pretty good.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations. That was a while ago, girl, but I have noticed myself being more indulgent in other things to self-medicate, but trying to just be comfortable in my own sober skin is really important to me now that I'm a mom. Not that I'm at all against smoking. I just think to me it was out of hand.
Okay.
Well, first of all, super, super, super proud of you. And I think that important thing to say is where you said, just trying to be comfortable in my sober skin.
Yeah. And a lot of people, that's a big one.
That's a big one. Because it's a lot, especially if it's been years and years of, and your body is naturally going to try to find something else to self-medicate. And so that's a very...
Or to unwind.
Yeah.
And so here's, something I wanted to add in here about a preventative piece, and that is having an understanding about what you are as a being, as just a being, not who you are, because who you is a do. Who you are is in relationship to what you give, who you are to this person, but just what you are. And when you understand what you are, then you also are able to understand the things that keep you in congruency, that are nurturing to you, and other things that could keep you in conflict that wouldn't be nurturing. So for example, we were talking something about this earlier on our walk. A specific tree is going to grow in a specific environment and needs a certain amount of sunlight and needs in order for it to grow and be healthy and to bloom when it's supposed to bloom and for it to sleep when it's supposed to sleep. We as individuals all have a formula that works for us when we understand what we are. And so then when we have that understanding, we can assess our environments and say, is this environment congruent? Does this make sense for what I need to bloom and what I need to rest and what I need to be healthy? And my behaviors, my thoughts, does this make sense? What am I feeding myself? So the first question to answer is, what am I? And how do you answer that question? We're gonna follow up this video with some resources and things like that, but there are people that you can talk to. I don't want to have to plug myself, but hit me up if you need some additional resources around getting in touch with the what you are and then understanding what works and what doesn't work for you. So once you have that framework, then there's a I don't know, it just brings some level of peace and excitement around the knowing. The knowing is half the battle. And then you can navigate and
adjust your environment. Help you feel more comfortable. Because it may be the things outside of you that are making you feel
exactly. When you have that anxiety is an alarm that says something is out of alignment. Not that anything is wrong with you per se, but you in this environment, or you in this relationship, or you in this pushing yourself to do this particular job a certain way. It's a mismatch, and the alarm is going off like, this is not right. This is not okay. So a lot of those feelings are really information. It's information. And not that something is wrong, it's just information. And then we can invite that and investigate it, like, oh, I'm feeling anxious. Oh, this is good. Let me see what this is trying to tell me, as opposed to I need to medicate, as opposed to I need to, get rid of this experience.
I'm sorry, that just made me laugh thinking about this tweet that I think is important for what we're talking about in our segue. But it was like, there was a tweet that was like, there are people out here that really like don't smoke and don't drink alcohol. Like, y'all are just raw dogging life. And I thought about that and I was like, I do be raw dogging life. Like, I really do. I do. And I'm just like, but I thought about it and I'm like, I do have tools though. I'm not raw dogging life. Yeah, I'm not.
Good point.
I'm not.
Good point.
I'm
Good
not.
point.
So
yeah, and so in addition to that, a lot of the mental health issues that we are feeling or experiencing is just letting us know there's a conflict. There's some type of conflict in what we are and then what we're doing in some way, or the environment.
And that's it. That's what it was. And sometimes like, that sometimes it is chemical. There are chemical imbalances and things like that.
I'm going to say something about the chemical imbalances can also be initiated by trying to having been exposed to these experiences for a long period of time, even in lineages and such. And so it creates this imbalance.
Epigenetics.
Coping. Yep.
Well, we can get epigenetics, all types of stuff. So with that being said, we're not raw dogging life.
No, we're not.
What are you doing?
If we're not raw dogging life,
what are you doing? So I'm saying, like, raw dogging life would mean like you're going through life with not, like, you're not self-medicating, you don't have tools. Like, what are you doing? But you're not just out here living.
So
what are you? Yeah, what are you doing?
What am I doing?
Yeah, you're not. How do you not? So let's say it in a real way, I guess, without the cool lingo. I tried.
Because I didn't get it. It went way over my head. I didn't get it.
How are we navigating our mental health, and what strategies are we using?
I just explained.
Oh, what you did. Oh, she prevents it, so she doesn't get to the point.
No. I'm saying that is the start. That's the start.
So you've identified that for you, and so now
I identified that for me. So this is my foundation. And then, because if I didn't have that foundation, without that foundation, I was just addressing all the acute issues as they popped up.
Okay,
right?
Did we say this already on this about how the emotions the mental health is the difference between it being able to feel the emotions and what you do with it. Did we say that yet here?
No.
Was that okay? So I think this is
go ahead. Was that in reference to what I was talking about?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
I just think it's a preface because what you're talking about is that, but I feel like we need to add context to that. Okay. So what we're saying is mental health is because we're going to all feel things and experience things in life. But when your mental health signifies how you navigate through that. So you're saying that your mental health in general has gotten to a place so now you're able to deal with like you still experience feelings of
what
sadness.
I was saying was that the foundation of being able to have a healthy navigation system is understanding what you are.
Yeah.
Understanding, because if you just don't, then you're just kind of bouncing around and getting flung around by this thing and that thing, this thing and that thing. You have a firm foundation in that. Then you are aware of environmental factors, behavioral factors, thought processes that are uplifting, that grow you, and things that are toxic. So at the gate, you're ahead of the game, so because you're not even going to find yourself in situations, or if you're in them, you are more aware, and it's like, oh, this isn't quite congruent, but now I need to move like this and move like that. So that's on the preventative side. So that's step one, right? Okay. Now, step two is what you're talking about. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, step one. But before you get to step one, sometimes you still have these feelings while you're still trying to figure out who you are. And you don't really have the tools.
Right. So that's more like in the emergency, like you have to
do something. So in those moments, before I got to that point, I think I'm finally getting there where I'm like, all right, I know who I am and I can zone it, whatever. Before that, I leaned heavily on meditating, yoga, and talk therapy and being in nature. And I feel like yoga is important because earlier you were like how I can get that information from my body. Waking up and doing yoga in the mornings really got me to feel, because emotions resonate at different parts of your body. So I do body scans every night. I feel my feet. I feel my legs. I feel my stomach. I feel my throat. And so after doing that for years, you don't just feel the clothing on your skin, you feel deeper. You don't just feel aware of, you're more aware of everything. And so we do have energetic bodies, and they don't teach about this in school, but there's a physical body and there's an energetic body, and it's just as real. Like you feel it when you have a tightness in your stomach or your heart drops. That's your energetic body, but there's even more subtle movement. So as I'm walking around the other day, I'm like, I feel ungrounded. I can just feel it in me. I don't do yoga every morning anymore, but after so many years of doing that, I can identify what feelings are in my body. But then that's where the tools come in. And for me, that's nature. I know if I go outside and touch my feet in some grass, that will bring me back down. If I'm feeling sad, going outside isn't going to help me. I need to connect with somebody, or I need to write about it, write a song about it. Transmuting it for me, like through art, is another way that I help my mental health.
That's a great way.
Like writing, that's transmuting through art is another way for my mental health now that I think about it. And
yeah, I'm glad you mentioned body scans, because I do one every morning.
Really?
Every morning I just check before I hit my feet hit the ground. It's like, okay, what am I feeling? What is this that is resonating in my body? And then I move forward with what needs to be done in order to. A lot of times that feeling is it's information about what's on the horizon. It could be residue from the day before, but I'm checking in, and then I move into my morning regimen. Having a regimen, which what you were talking about. Man, listen, that regimen is my life saver. It is my life jacket. I get up every morning and hit my sacred space. There are a number of things that I do in terms of my prayer, my meditation, my centering, my grounding. Before I do anything else, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. And that cuts through a whole lot of noise, if there even is noise. And as Maya was saying, the more and more you have these habits, the more and more you're going to be in tune with even the little subtle things. You'll notice it before it gets out of control. Repetition, 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 repetition. It will start to fine tune your energetic body to be able to feel and hear the things that you need to navigate better, to just have the information that you need on hand. It can be simple. The regimen can be simple. And as Maya said too, my thing is nature.
And
I will get on a walk. Go ahead.
No, I wanted to make sure you finish your thought.
Yeah, no, I will get in nature and, just take a walk. Simply that alone does it for me. Sitting by some water, sitting by some moving water, by a river. The river has been my therapist. My personal therapist for years. There's this creek in Wallace on St. Helena Island. Baby, she put in some work. Put in some work for me for many of years. Just sitting there and just like really moving through a lot of stuff and listening to the intelligence in nature, which is, is my source of therapy, and having that reflected back to me and then moving with that.
Yes, beautiful. And she's not lying about that either. This comment made me think about kind of the last thing I wanted to touch on in here. It says our energetic body is just as real and important as our blood. Yeah, and that's so true. And they really need to talk about it so much more. So we're going to go ahead. I just kind of wanted to expand on this really quickly. When we talk about having healthy mental health, we're not saying everything's great. We're saying that like shit happens. So if I remember something that's heavy or something heavy happens, I'm not just like, oh, I'm going to breathe it away and do some yoga, I'll be fine. No, I actually am going to sit with that and be like, how does this make me feel? Do I want to cry? Do I want to, like actually really, really sitting with that and not pushing it down? Because when you push things down, they stay in your energetic body. And this is a whole nother, it stays in your energetic body. And that's where it can become a toxic pattern of mental health. Yes. Like that is where it can come from. And so things that go unaddressed, you think you're just, what's that word? Detached, or you think you're just powering through. The key to mental health is being super attached and not super attached, but super present and super present and just allowing things to
move through.
If it's here right now. Now, sometimes I'll catch myself thinking about something that happened 2 years ago. Girl, you're bringing that into the present. That did not, that like literally, it's gone. So that's why being present. What's actually here right now? What's the threat right now? Because anxiety.
And so I have a slightly different perspective on that, because like I said, most of the emotions and things that move through the environment, I don't see as a threat. I see it as information, right? And so then that's why I want to sit in it for a minute, because I want to get all of the details, information I need in order to move forward. I don't want to cut that process short. So if there is some sadness that just somehow came over my system, I'm like, what is this about? Let me sit here. Let me process this. And the way that will unfold, sometimes it's very shocking to me, because I would have never even known that thing, whatever, created that feeling was resting there, was sitting there. So allowing yourself to feel.
You said that in another episode.
Allowing yourself to feel, because there's another train of thought that says, don't feel, don't be emotional, it's more of a stoic way of life. And I actually like a lot of stoic philosophy, really. So I think there's a way that the two can maybe saying the same thing, but the processes are maybe a little different. Because you don't want your emotions to rule you. No. But energy emotion is actually a very powerful manifesting.
But if you're feeling your emotions, you can tell if it's out of hand. And you're like, okay, I actually might need to talk to somebody, because there's just, you still feel it, but it'd be like, okay, this actually feels like a lot. This feels like a lot. I need to go. I need to use my resources,
because you still want to be alive. And enjoy life and emotion. Like if you're gonna cut off one side of that, then you also cut off joy.
Yep.
Like you can't just dead one part and think you can still feel the other part. Like there's a spectrum of feeling and emotions. Feelings and emotions aren't the same thing.
I know.
We won't go into that right now.
I know.
But you can't numb one part and think you can still be present in the other. And who wants to just not? be,
a part of life is
alive.
experiencing the full
What?
spectrum and being whole in your feelings.
What
We
you
have
say,
2 more
Kyle?
calls.
My strategies.
Well, girl, you could have said something.
Y'all be, baby, I just let
Jump
y'all be having so much to say, and I'm interested, but
Well, go ahead. What are
my
your
strategies. See, I'm not as advanced as these two. I don't have daily morning routines.
I wouldn't say
Which-
advanced. I wouldn't even say
Okay, I'm not
advanced.
gonna say
The
advanced.
word's
It
not
was a
do
joke.
that.
It literally was a joke. It literally was a joke. Goodness.
Well, maybe you do need a morning routine.
No, that's what I was about to
Because that
say.
reaction was a
That's
little.
what I was, girl.
Okay.
See, it's getting late. It's past their bedtime, y'all. These two.
That's what I was about to say.
Okay,
Was
let's
that
let
you
her-
two
let's let her
do
talk.
have
Let her
your
cook.
daily routines. And I remember back in Charlotte, I don't know what you were telling me to either meditate or do something. I think it was meditate. And I think I only did that for like a week. But I felt it. And that's my thing is consistency. Like I'll do something and then I don't stay consistent with it. But I did meditate before sleeping for like a week. And I really did like that. But another thing I also used to do, which I haven't done in a while, which I'm going to incorporate, and I think I'll just do that first, is writing. I did used to
You do
journal.
write in journal,
I used to journal just because, because even Mom, you said earlier, just having a conversation, sometimes you don't really need like the reaction back, but just saying it out loud.
Yes.
And for me, saying it out loud is writing it down.
Yes.
Mhm.
So I used to journal. I don't do that anymore, but I'm going to start doing that again. So that would be
I
a
saw your
strategy
journals
for
by the
me.
side of your bed.
I put my cups there.
Yeah, they've been the same.
Her journals
They are my
used
cup
for
stands
cup
right now.
stand.
And then
Lord.
but then one more thing, which I just started back incorporating is the gym. I do feel
gym
like
is really
that
good for
was
mental health.
something that when I was doing it before it was definitely a mental health boost. So I do feel like now that I'm getting back into that, that's one of my strategies as well.
Okay. I love that, girl. Yes. And she been in that gym. The gym is so good though for moving emotions through your body.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
true.
Oh
Any
my gosh.
physical activity. My walks in nature really be hikes. Well, I get working it out.
Okay, we
So
got
we
some
do have some
comments.
comments.
Yeah.
Yes.
From a man's perspective, I must say you're spot on with the needing a regimen to center and regulate yourself daily.
Corey, that's from my brother Corey. Thank you for that. Absolutely. For the men, the regimens are important. Yes. Thank you.
And Corinne says a lot of it is understanding that being in a healthy mental health state isn't, everything is fine now or not having problems. It's being able to move through them and navigate issues in a healthy way.
Hello.
Absolutely.
Y'all coming through the comments.
Bing, 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 bing.
And then
Y'all-
Ty was laughing at us for acting up a little bit ago. You gotta have some comedy. Okay, so
There's always going to be comedy with us three.
the body needs movement and the mind needs stillness.
Yes.
Yes.
Meditate. That's what I'm saying. Hello.
Simply put and present. And when you bring the mind and the body together, which is yoga, we'll have some really resources. We're gonna get some resources for y'all.
Yeah, and
after
I think
this
that we'll talk, we could have gone deeper in this conversation. And Maya made a good point earlier because I was kind of like, the topic. She said we need to start here so that we can go into some deeper things as well. So we will do that in the future. That I've said that because our last commenter talked about the mind being still, and I am an avid practice of this silence, sacred silence, inner silence, quieting the mind, zeroing out, and just the presence and power that brings to my life. So it's a whole nother thing. But yeah.
Yes, we
really
got
game
into
to play?
we do.
Yeah,
so
we
we
do have a game
know
to
that
play.
we went a little over our time. If you're still rocking with us,
We're gonna go ahead and play
we're still gonna play a game. And you're free to stick around. We love your company.
So I guess we're gonna play the game.
We're gonna play the game. I mean, yes,
Right,
we're
but
here.
We can play. Okay.
Oh yeah, no,
Okay,
we're playing the game.
Okay. And then we could, so this game, because like we said earlier, there's a lot of these mental health pages online that post these quotes, and for people that don't know any, sometimes they say things that are valid, and sometimes they say things that are like, that can be harmful if not taken in the right frame, whatever. So we're gonna read a quote, and we're gonna decide if it's
Affirmation or
audacity.
Yeah. So yeah, we're just gonna see if it sounds empowering, something that can sound empowering, but it can actually be toxic or problematic. So let's go.
So what's the first one here?
Okay, let's see. The first quote is, "You don't need rest. You need to remember who you are."
Audacity.
Yeah.
Audacity. I'm team rest.
I'm team
Yeah,
rest.
why
Team
would you
nap,
not need
team rest.
Well, a lot of people
Everybody
are
needs
like,
rest.
you don't need rest. You got to
Grind
keep
it out,
going, grind it
grind.
out.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Grind
Just
Why would you be
culture.
sleeping if you're broke? Well, maybe.
Yeah, that is.
Maybe because the sun is down.
Right. Maybe because I'm tired.
Maybe because we have a 24 hour.
Audacity.
Yes,
Audacity.
You will burn your, thank you.
The comments
You
are
will
just
burn
saying audacity.
yourself
Sleep is
to the
important.
ground.
You can be, and what the rich folks doing, they sleeping.
Now, a lot of them be
They be
All right,
and
let's,
on it, but
let's stay on
and it doesn't
that.
matter.
Because waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning is not going to make or break your bank account. I promise you. Go to sleep until 6 if you want. Okay. So, I give myself permission to feel exactly what I feel. Affirmation or audacity.
Is that affirmation or audacity?
Affirmation.
Affirmation.
That's affirmation.
Because you should give.
Because you should, and that's where
permission.
you don't want to have shame or guilt. Because
Nope.
that
no
adds
feeling is a
layers.
wrong feeling.
Nope.
If
Not
that's
a
how you
single
feel,
one.
that's how you feel.
In that moment.
Yeah, in that
investigate why
Yeah.
it is what it is.
And deal with that later.
Whether it's a
but you
positive
can
or negative emotion, that's what it is. But it's not wrong for you to feel that way.
That's
feel
right.
it. And now acting on it is a whole nother. We didn't say
Yeah.
that. We didn't say act on what you feel all the time. Okay. So protect your. Oh, my bad.
Go ahead.
Okay. Protect your peace, even if it means burning every bridge you've ever crossed. Audacity or affirmation. If it's necessary to burn them all.
I feel like it depends. I feel like it depends.
If it says protect your peace, even if it means
burning every bridge you've ever crossed. So if I
What if
don't
I don't wanna
burn
go
every
back?
bridge, but that means I could compromise
You could go
my
back,
peace.
right? If you don't burn the bridge, then you could go back.
that means you still have those connections, but
Okay.
you will be compromising your peace.
Okay. So depending on how
depends.
it depends.
You might need to check in with a therapist to see which bridges need to be burned
To
and
before the flame.
And that's what I did in therapy today. I said,
so you know what? Yeah, that's very good because
Yeah.
I probably would have. Yeah, that's a hard one. I agree.
Sarah said that's a hard one. Yeah.
Maya said she would check in with a therapist. I would go to divination
Mhm.
because I'm quick to throw a flame. You know what
I'm
I'm saying?
quick to burn it.
Torch them. But I have also been sat down many times going to divination like, no, that's not exactly the move to make at this time.
At this
And
time,
I
yes.
acquiesce.
Yeah.
I've learned like, oh, okay, that that wasn't necessary.
Yeah, that's what you and my therapist will help me do. Well, you tell me to throw the flames, but my therapist will be like,
sometimes I don't.
sometimes you don't.
Sometimes
But
it depends.
Yeah, it depends. It depends.
Now
I'll be like, I'll throw the flame for
Okay.
you.
this one says if they wanted to, they would.
If they wanted to, they would.
I feel like that's true.
I knew you would say that.
I feel like that's
That's
if
not
they
true.
wanted to, they would.
That's not
true.
always true. Some
There's a lot of
people
stuff
are
that
not
They
want
want
to
to,
do
but they're
when I
not
can't.
capable. Okay, you're right. You're right. But some things, when it comes to some things, if they wanted to, they would.
Yeah,
That's true, but that's
Some
not
things that
overall.
don't cost money, things that don't, it's not like it's a financial barrier. Certain things that don't have barriers, if you wanted to, you would. And it's just is what it is.
Do you
Okay.
have an example for us? Because you was feeling a little charged there.
I mean, I'm
she
just
wasn't
something,
understandably, and
a
that's
little
all right.
charged.
I mean, I'm just saying. I
Because
feel
that
like,
bridge is burned.
girl. But that's how I feel. When it comes to, I feel like it depends on what that thing is.
But that's the point about social media. People state things like facts and not like things that can be fluid.
Because there's so many things I want to do for people I love.
Yeah, there we go. Coming from a personal experience, audacity, because there's so many things I want to do for the people I love, but my cup is empty and I have nothing to give. Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
That's a really, really good comment there. That's too hard because they
can't, but they probably still gotta leave them. And that's where the duality of that comes in. And you know what? That I have a quick kind of thing to say here. I knew that there was a person in my life that I wasn't able to give them what they needed. I didn't have the capacity, but I also said if they choose that that's not enough for them, I have to respect that too.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah,
so,
sometimes you can say
but
that.
also there are situations where you do have to not be so self-centered about things and be like, they actually might have a lot going on and want to do these. And that's where you can check and see where their heart is, you know, where's somebody's heart.
I had a personal experience that checked me on that because, and just real briefly, I'm the kind of person that walks in a store and I'm saying hi and I'm smiling at people. And I always remember reflecting on, you know, you don't always get that back, right? And I did have to check my self-importance so that no one owes me a smile or a hi. If I want to give that, I give that freely. I should give it without expectation.
Okay.
Number one. Two, I remember after I had lost divinity and I went into the store and I think I told you guys about this.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked in the store. I was getting ready to check out. It probably was like a week or so after. And somebody came in and said hi to me.
You didn't say it back.
I did not say it back.
Yeah.
And I felt it. I was like, oh snap. I've never been here where I have nothing to give anybody. And please don't push me right now. Like I didn't have it. I didn't even have it to smile. And then there was so much empathy and understanding I had in that moment for people who just could not return the smile to me. I was like, dang, I wonder what they were going through. And here I am thinking, what's wrong with people these days? They don't know how to smile and say hi. You never know if someone's
happy, they're gonna smile back.
Yeah, right. Well, no, some people it all varies. If they're not happy, you're saying that.
I say if someone that's genuinely happy,
if they're enjoying a piece they're
back.
going to, so there must be something
so there's
going
something
on.
wrong.
It's not just that people are being rude.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So
and it is rude, but there's always an underlying, like if somebody's even just rude as a personality, there's a reason and they need to take accountability for that reason. But you know, let's go on to the game. Okay, the game's moving on. Okay. 5. I'm not behind. I'm on my own timeline.
Snaps to that
affirmation. You're always on your own timeline.
Always on your own timeline.
Always.
Yeah, you're never behind.
Yes.
But that could end up being someone's crutch too, though.
And Sarah said, "Thank you for that story perspective." No, seriously, because that made me even out. Because I be swearing a lot of people just be having attitudes. Too.
Yeah,
and that may not be the case.
That may not be the case.
May not be the case. It could be, but it may not be.
Yeah.
So you just don't take it personal, basically.
Yeah, I think like that's an affirmation, and even if that is them being complacent, that's their own timeline.
It is true.
You're choosing that timeline.
True. You're right. It's still their choice. You're not behind. And there's no one else's choice but your own. Absolutely.
Good night, Ty. Have a good night. We're racking up. We got 2 more for the people that are still here. We got 2 more. If your boundaries are making everyone mad, you're doing it right.
Making everyone mad?
No.
I feel like that's dramatic. That's dramatic. Making everybody well. If somebody's mad at your boundary, there's a difference. It depends on who you're surrounded with. Typically, if someone's mad at your boundaries, that means they were the ones that were overstepping.
Yep.
But if everyone's mad at your boundaries, you might be doing too much.
Yeah.
You might be doing too much. You might be doing too much.
Yeah.
But if these are your boundaries, and that's the hill you want to stick on.
I feel the same about the comment when people be like, if there's haters and you must be doing something right. No, sometimes you're just doing too much. Yeah. Sometimes no.
Okay, so last one, y'all. Oh, 2, sorry. You can't heal in the same environment that hurt you.
Affirmation.
You cannot heal in the same environment.
Affirmation.
Get out.
It's not possible, boo. You gotta go on out there.
And maybe after you've healed, you can revisit for closure or whatever. But go heal first.
Yeah. Back.
Hard affirmation on that. Okay. 8. You're not overwhelmed. You're unorganized.
You're unorganized.
I think that's
that's funny.
That hurts as someone with ADHD. I'm just like,
yeah, that's pretty harsh.
I think that's audacity.
Yeah, that's audacity.
That's you can't for it to be generalizing like that.
Yeah, you would not say that to somebody
that.
in a mental health environment. You just would not say that. Now, personally, I think being overwhelmed and unorganized kind of
they can clash.
No, because they show up together.
Because I'm overwhelmed.
Exactly.
I'm not overwhelmed because I'm unorganized.
So sometimes when I see things get unorganized, I look around like, oh, there's something brewing here. I need to sit down and figure out what's going on because this. And as soon as that thing is cleared, I'm cleaning house as well. So it's an indication that there's some things that need to be sorted out.
That's for sure a good way to tell with me. Because I'm very organized. So if stuff is out of place, baby, you got to know something going on.
If your stuff ain't looking right, I'm like, Kaya, you
what's
all
wrong?
right?
Something is, I'm not all right. Something is wrong. Because me even being able to sit in this, something, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
Take me to the counter.
And I am generally overwhelmed. Like I'm fine, but I am overwhelmed. I don't have time to be organized as much as I want to be.
Yes.
So okay.
What Corinne said exactly.
Even when my mind is still, I'm very organized. Exactly. And it just my mind hasn't seen a still day since January 6th, 2024. That's my son's birthday. Okay, so
this has been awesome, y'all. Thank you for hanging out with us in the Silver Cocoon.
Yes.
Thank you. Everyone who showed up and participated. And
so many great comments today.
Yes.
Yeah, we love the interaction. We love everything that y'all had to, bring to the conversation. Like, we love it. And for those that were vulnerable and shared their mental health state, and just there was vulnerability in the comments today, and we love and appreciate
And we had
that.
the men show up. We had Keith show up. We had Corey Adia's husband chime in.
We had the wives coming in giving us questions. Yeah.
Everybody was here today. We appreciate y'all.
Yes, we do.
Love. Much love. This video will be audio will be on streaming services tomorrow, maybe tonight. And just visit us in the Cocoon every other Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. live. Thank you, Sarah. And we're here.
Sarah.
And we'll see you guys in the Cocoon later.
All right. Peace, everyone.
Bye, guys.